I'm Chef Cynthia Louise and welcome to your 14-day stop. 1, 2, 3, action. Hours before you make this meal, soak the dehydrated shiitake mushrooms. As my son calls them, shitake. He really does. And they're amazing. I bought these pretty much like 12 months ago. They're in the jar, they stay there. For some reason, they just do their thing because there's no water content. And when there's water content that hits this, it immediately creates bacteria and it immediately goes off. So we need 5 of these, 2, 4, 5. And then some water on top. And then what I'm going to do is get a little saucer and just sit it on there so they're completely submerged. Just top that up with water and sit that aside. And at about 2 hours later, watch what happens. They keep poking their heads up actually, look at them, like little animals. Stay. Really good flavour. Why dried? Well, imagine going to the shop and you can't find shiitake mushrooms fresh and they're awfully expensive. Dried, they're just on that shelf and they just stay there. And they have a beautiful depth of flavour. Cute little recipe. The technique's really important. So really focus on how we're going to do this together. We're together we're better. Don't forget that. Hey everybody, together we're better. Yeah. It's like, this is the theme, right? So the wongbok cabbage that we're going to use for the lard is this cabbage, but we're only going to use half of it for this dish and half of that for this dish. We're kind of spreading out the love of the cabbage, right? So this is a napa cabbage or wongbok cabbage. So I'm going to take the outside leaves and I'm going to just cut the end off that actually, just so I can get a hold of things. Yep, this is good. So see what I'm doing? I'm taking all the, now I'm starting to get little cups, right? Now I'm thinking this is where the larb's going to come into play. So now they're turning into cups. I'm going to put this aside, back into the fridge for the larb later. And notice how we're just kind of mixing it up, but keeping that cabbage to go to the next dish. That's the whole point, right? This is what we're doing. We're recycling, we're upcycling, or whatever you want to call it, really. And just have a quick squiz at this. So, look at this, 2 hours later. Look how delicious they are. And how do you know when they're ready? So the stalks are really woody and we're not going to use that part, okay? So you're going to rip the stalks out, just like this. And you're left with this meaty, kind of mushroomy situation. Just wring that water out. Why aren't I using the stalks, you're probably asking? Because they're just too fibrous, you know? Just want to move this aside. And then all you want to do, slicing them up as thin as you can. Very meaty, really delicious actually. I mean, you can get fresh ones if you want to. It's up to you, but this really creates a depth of flavour and they're on the shelf all the time. Okay, we have nearly everything ready. Just need to have a look. I just want you to really stare at these ingredients. And then you want to get this cabbage and roll it up and then slice it nice and thin. Once you get to the very end, just run your knife through like that. Just once. You want some sesame oil. Now please make sure it's sesame oil, Cynthia. Yes. That's going to create an immense amount of flavour. And in with our mushrooms and our asparagus and our ginger and garlic. Looks like a lot, doesn't it? Yeah. Watch what happens. Watch what happens, everybody. On top of that is our napa or wongbok cabbage. Now the temperature of this heat is on high, and don't be afraid of doing that actually. It's cooking away. You're confident, I'm confident, we're confident together. And this is where you can add just a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. And you need a wooden spoon, and just slowly, slowly so this is cooked down a lot, as you can see. Look at it. It's like you thought that was a lot. It is, but this is what happens with the watery vegetables. They do cook down. So we need a couple of tablespoons of tamari. I like to put, which is a bit cheeky, but it's my thing, just 1 teaspoon of maple syrup. Don't ask me why, it's just my thing. It's like a plant-based situation. Give that a good stir. Oh my God, that smells amazing. It's just that umami flavor, right? Like you've got the sweetness of the maple, the saltiness of the tamari, and the savoriness of the sesame oil, and it's just kind of balancing. And you can add some chili flakes in here if you want to. Now all the liquid's starting to come out. You can kind of see that. So this 5-minute cook just here is beautifully done, and the heat has stayed high, which is super important, okay? And all those juices are coming out. This is the time to have a taste, and how you do that is I just put some on the side here, because we can really navigate what you want here. You might want a bit of chili. You might want more ginger. You might, you know, it just depends on where you're at. And for me, it's delicious. Okay. Over to here, straight into the food processor. Okay. And off, and then you check. Have another look. It's getting a little bit more mushy, a little bit more gyoza, dumpingly. Another 5 seconds, and we're done. And then we're going to put this into a glass bowl so you can see it. The texture you need at home. It's so delicious. Looks like mince, like pork mince and chicken mince, all mushed up together. Now, not all vegetables are made equal. So sometimes the vegetables could be super, super dry, and sometimes they could be really, really well hydrated and create a lot of moisture. And these ones today have a lot of moisture, so I'm going to put another tablespoon in. And it feels better already. Okay. Some baking paper. My baking paper situation's a bit off, but that's okay. I'm not a baker. Grab a chair. This is where things get really nice and comfy. Can you pass me a spoon from over there? And you're going to need that water from the shiitake mushrooms. And why I've got two trays is I want to freeze some of them so I have them on tap. And that's the whole thing, right? Freezing, freezing, freezing. Very important. You're going to take a small scoop, pop it in the middle. And it's not a big scoop in the middle too, right, guys? Like it's just, it's enough, right? It's one, exactly. And that shiitake water is just so good. Hot pan, super important. This is called steam frying. You have to be careful here. So I have a lid ready, that has a dip in it that's going to sit over the top of my gyozas. And what I'm after is some crunchiness on the bottom of the gyoza and some soft, steaming deliciousness that's going to cover the actual entire gyoza. So I want a bit of crunch and I want a bit of steam. But you must be careful when you do this because it can splatter everywhere when you have oil and water. So watch the technique, sit back, and then get the confidence to make it. So the first thing I'm going to do is add the oil to this pan. So I'm just going to move that oil around so it coats the bottom of the pan. Super hot. And then I'm going to place each gyoza just bum down, we call it. And so these little boats are basically floating very gently on top of the oil. I'm going in a circle. Okay. Now you can use tongs if you like. My hands seem to just handle heat, but just be mindful when you're using tongs because you don't want to squish anything. So you're touching the top part and just moving them around. And I'm after that crunchy, kind of brown texture on the bottom. High heat. Nothing's smoking right now, I'm just watching it. As soon as it starts smoking and carrying on, I'm going to turn it down. To turn your pan around so the heat travels evenly. Because sometimes heat on a pan, it's kind of weird, right? It kind of goes to one side, then you're going to move the pan, so remember that. Now I can start to see smoke. I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to check them to see what they look like. I'm going to turn them now to the side. Each little boat is now on its side. We'll turn it to the other side. And you need water, and it's just a splash. And then you just let it cook. You want to cook this till all the water's gone. And see, I'm just kind of standing back. I can go to it and lift the lid up just to have a look. It's looking good. Move the pan around. Okay, and steam through. Oh my God, they look amazing. Turn that off. Bring this over here. This is going to go in the freezer. Yummy. Delicious. Yummy. Delicious. They all have a name. They're hot, so please do not put them out. Can you go with some spring onions and some fresh coriander since we have it? And a little bit of spring onion and coriander if you have it. Just sprinkle that on top. Just give that little extra boost of yumminess. And then some tamari. That's it, really. And then sit down and enjoy your dinner. I mean, with a salad is good, you know. And these are hot. So I just want to dive in, right? But they are hot. So now I'm thinking to myself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's me. I'm done for dinner. And any, you know, another couple if I'm feeling really hungry. The rest of them are going to go into the freezer. And that's going to give me an option. When this plant-based incredible 14-day is done. Like when we're done, you're going to have these in the freezer and you can continue on, and that's the whole point, is to amp up the plant in your world and to never feel like you're going without. So I'm just going to eat them now. Do you want one? Come on then.